let's talk about some of the reasons why you still can't keep your home clutter-free even after decluttering. Have a plan for the clutter hotspots in your home. These in my house are landing zones, places where people come in and just set things down. The entryway, the kitchen table. So if you don't have a plan on how to manage this and come up with different systems, then it will just continue to be a cluttered mess. We do not have a mudroom in our house, and we just walk directly from the garage into the kitchen, and the shoes have constantly been a problem, causing lots of clutter in my space. So I set up a shoe basket in the kitchen. Not ideal, but it is a solution that works with the problem and the space that I have. If you don't know how you are going to use an item in the next month to 2 months, I say with the exception of having future children, then go ahead and get rid of the item. Don't just keep items for a maybe someday. That's way too risky. You are risking keeping all that clutter in your house and in your space for potentially needing it later, when you for sure want to live clutter-free today. I want to talk about the one in, one out rule, which I think can be really good. Anytime you bring an item into your home, you have to discard one item. The one in, one out rule can be really helpful, but it's also kind of hard to keep track of, especially when you live with more people. So include your family. Anytime your kids want to get a new toy, tell them you have to discard something first. Keeping everybody accountable, I think, is so important. Now let's talk about some of the strategies that you can try instead of or in addition to the one in, one out rule, and that is the monthly declutter. And this is going to be a rotation. So I've kind of broken this down by week, and I really like this because it focuses on areas of your home that are either high traffic or like clutter magnet areas. I've noticed each week you are going to declutter these specific areas and then do this again every single month. Week 1, you are going to go through your kids' closets. So I really need to go through my kids' clothing drawers. We're transitioning seasons right now, so I feel like there's probably tons that I can get rid of. Make sure everything's fitting them, they're wearing what's in there, and it's not maybe time to rotate seasons. So you're gonna do this every single month. 1 month, it might take you 20 minutes. The next month, it might take you 3 because there was really nothing in there. But this is just keeping on top of it so that it doesn't become, again, like this overwhelming cluttered mess. For week number 2, you're gonna go through your kids' toys or any of their educational material. And again, this is just because kids outgrow things, things break. It just is a really, really nice thing to keep going through, especially again, because of birthdays and holidays and all of that. Now, if you don't have kids, then I say go through your own closet. Make sure your own closet includes shoes, are gone through every single month. And then instead of toys, pick something else and let me know in a comment actually what you would choose instead of toys if you don't live with children. Another area in my home that gets incredibly cluttered is like the utility drawer. So this is anything kind of office-y. I don't have a specific office space, but I do have kind of like an office drawer. And if I don't go through this on a monthly, it gets totally out of control and it gets hard to find what I'm looking for: batteries, flashlights. So I have to keep only the things that I know I'm going to use in there, and all this other random junk that gets thrown in there, you have to keep going through it. For week number 4, I recommend going through your kitchen, and this includes your pantry and your fridge. Now, you might want to go through this even more often than just once a month. It might be useful to go through this every week or every 2 weeks, but at the bare boned minimum, go through your kitchen, pantry, and your fridge and your freezer at least once a month. This area just gets really, really overwhelming. It starts you start wasting food as things get pushed to the back. You forget you had things. It just kind of becomes harder to know what you have, to do your grocery shopping, to fit the new groceries into your fridge. Again, we're living within the boundaries of our home. Your fridge is a boundary. It's a container, and you want to keep within that boundary. The monthly fill a bag challenge is also a really good one. Grab a giant black garbage sack and then fill it up. I like to do this at the end of every single month. It's just a nice way to do a whole house sweep. Do not underestimate the power of 10 minutes. What you can get done in maintaining a clutter-free space in only 10 minutes. I often think, and I know this from experience, that we get it in our head that we have to commit to only large chunks of time in order to accomplish any kind of decluttering in our space, especially if it's very, very cluttered. I learned that you can actually accomplish quite a lot in a short amount of time if you are consistent, and that is the key. But when maintaining a clutter-free space, I think the same rule applies. Don't let things pile up. Continue every single day putting things back in their homes, a relocate party, as I like to call them. Make this part of your daily routine. I think another reason we tend to fall back into our clutter habits is because we have not found another outlet for our shopping habit that got us in this cluttered mess to begin with. And I feel like that is so crucial. You have to have a backup plan whenever you feel bored or the urge to shop. Instead of that, have a list of things that you can do instead that aren't going to bring more clutter into your space. And in the beginning, when I was breaking my shopping habit, I had this posted on the refrigerator. And going right along with that, only bring items into your home that have a purpose and have a home. So before you even buy it, even if it's free, before you bring it into your life, make sure you know exactly where its permanent home is, and you've got to have a purpose for it. One complaint that I hear and that I have had to deal with myself, and I think most of us do, is that we are committed to being clutter-free, but other members in our home are not. And that makes it really frustrating. And it is tempting to just want to declutter for them. Unfortunately, this will never work. It will only build resentment. It is not worth it. So try to just lead by example, and don't worry that that isn't enough. In fact, when I started out on this decluttering journey, all my family got motivated. My kids eventually started decluttering on their own without any prompts from me. Now, I still today have to remind them to do that, but it really helps when I'm decluttering too. My husband, after seeing the progress that I was making, granted, it took several months, he saw that and was completely on board. It doesn't always come that quickly, but I feel that leading by example is the best way to go, and that eventually the other members of your household will get on board. Whether it's to your standard or not, I feel like any amount of items, excess that you can get out of your home is a win. Establishing clutter-free habits can be really helpful in helping maintain the level of clutter in your space. Now, I mentioned doing a quick 10-minute relocate at the end of the night, but I also think as you go throughout the day and you put things back right when you're done using them, this really helps. Decluttering as you go is another one of my favorite techniques to continue to make progress, especially if you're someone who's busy, who doesn't have a lot of time, and who's easily overwhelmed. If you can just declutter as you get into spaces in your home, whether this be under the kitchen sink or into your utility drawer, just pulling out a few things can help keep that momentum going. And just trying to generally keep your surfaces cleaned off are ways that you can, small ways that you can make a big impact. Oh, and then of course the one touch rule, or the only touch it once, or only, oh, it's Ohio, only handle it once. That's right. If you pick it up, you are going to put it back where it goes. Don't set it down in another spot, random spot for it to be dealt with later. If there are spaces in your home, areas in your home that still feel overwhelming, that means you have too much in that space. even if things are fitting in the space. So I always say, your home is a boundary. Don't go beyond those limits. Respect the limits of your home. Even if things fit within that space, if you're still feeling overwhelmed, you have too much. It's probably not that your system isn't working, that your organization bins, now it could be, but it's probably not that your bins aren't working, that your organization system isn't working. Before you freak out and feel like, oh my gosh, I just wasted all this money and time organizing this space, first try and see if there's anything else you can declutter from that zone before you reassess the system that you have in place. Here is another video on the screen to help you live a more clutter-free life. I will meet you over there.